Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me again on Let's Talk on Yu Tsai. And in continuation of celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, today my special guest is an Emmy nominated and James Beard nominated celebrity chef, Jet Tila.
What's up, Yu Tsai? You know what? You couldn't say those nominated anythings a few weeks ago. So, yeah, let's be clear. Yeah, I've been around a long time, but I'm really, really lucky to be nominated this year. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm such an incredible week of amazing Asian Americans here sharing their stories. And I think it's so important that we share our heritage with everyone. And I also have decided that we shouldn't stop celebrating Asian Americans. So every week I'm making an initiative to have one Asian American on my talk show. So
That
until
sounds
we run
amazing.
out, we won't run out anytime soon. That's my goal. I just think that, by having that conversation is also talk about inclusion in every way and not just Asian Americans. We're talking about Indians and Muslims and every different
100%.
shades of colors, and it's so important. And that's what I would love to start our conversation is that tell us a little bit about your heritage and your background because it is interesting and how you got here.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So originally Chinese, all four grandparents are from the Hainan area, and then they separately went to Thailand, probably around I'm guessing probably the late 30s,
Mm.
40s, and then met and married. My parents were born in Thailand, so I'm Chinese by way of Thailand. And then in the 60s, my parents emigrated to the US in 1966 with the first big wave of Thai people. So
Mm.
most people think I'm Thai by brand, by way I cook, but you know what? Ancestry and 23 tells me I'm 98 something percent Chinese. So I get confused though. You know what I mean? I'm not sure which way I identify, but there's the short heritage story.
Well, have you been back to Thailand?
Many, many times. So I'm actually the culinary ambassador of Thailand as well. So yeah, I hold that title thanks to the Thai government, of course. So yeah, food wise, I definitely and I speak more Thai than I do Chinese.
Wow, that is so cool. I've been to Thailand so many times and learning the cuisine is one thing, but learning the language, I gave up.
Oh
Just
man, I
too
tell you, the
hard.
cuisine itself is its own language because we have such distinct regional Thai food, and each region is its own language as well. But speaking of culinarians, man, I watch your show. You have a phenomenal. If no one knows, you need to go and watch Usai's cook culinary show. It is amazing, truly. I'm
Thank
not
you
kidding.
so much. Thank you. It's Street to Kitchen Asia, and and and
Yes.
and you're part of my inspiration of doing it, and that's something the reason that I want you on the show. First of all, paying so much respect for your culinary work, and then your television work with all the nominations around you, and I watch you because I even love those candid cooking in your room right now at your home
hmm
right now. I feel so close to you, and I feel like okay if you can do this, and how many years have you been in this business?
Wow. So my grandparents, going back to them, had restaurants. My
Okay.
parents had restaurants. So we had restaurants in the 40s and then in the 70s. And now, I'm in the business. So I personally have been cooking for about 25 years, but
Wow.
my family has probably been in food, I'd probably say 60 to 70 years now. So that's why your show resonates because it really is. We started from a street food family,
Right.
not highly educated, excuse me, really simple people. And another reason why this month is so special to me because well I feel like there's very few countries in the world where people can come from humble means and in one generation build anything they can imagine they can create here in this country. It's pretty amazing.
It's awesome, and that's why I feel like such a fledgling in this industry. And we talk offline that when I started this talk show, I really want to merge the food community with my fashion audience and fashion community. And
hmm
in the very beginning, it was actually really hard because yes, I'm known for hosting that show in Asia, but it doesn't cross over. The two world really
right.
doesn't cross over very easily. And I'm sure you experienced that when you first started cooking in America, being Asian. What was that like?
Yeah, I was one of those kids that, my family very quickly, we all tried to assimilate, right? I was first
Mm.
generation American. My parents really were pushing us to not speak our native language because they pushed their fears into us and
Wow.
they're scared that we won't assimilate fast enough. So they moved to the west side of Los Angeles really early. And I was one of those only Asian kids in a large school. It was maybe two in like a few hundred.
I think we went to
Uh,
the same school.
exactly. I think you were a little more in the boondocks than I was, though.
I
I
was
was
in
at least in.
Chino,
Yeah.
California.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Dairy Town
exactly,
is
dude.
Dairy Town.
It
Now they have
really,
Chino
it
Hills.
was, it
Now it's rich. Now it's Chino Hills. When I was there was no hills. It was just
yeah,
grassland with cattle, sheep roaming, and that's where I grew up in a dairy town on a farm property. And my dad's a
pretty
farmer,
amazing.
so that's how I
Oh,
grew up. So
yeah.
like you, I always had food in my history. My dad came from Taiwan, obviously. We
Hmm.
immigrated when I was about 13,
Right.
and he worked in a Chinese restaurant in order to survive and
Mm,
feed the kids. He was a photographer of all things
yeah.
in
He was
Taiwan.
a tradesman. Like he was a
Yeah.
skilled tradesman, and he comes to this new country and has to do something different, right?
And there's no shame in starting up as a dishwasher.
Ever,
I think it's
ever. I started
amazing.
there. So many people started there. You know.
But, I resisted having to go with him to the restaurant every day because it's
Hmm.
5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And because we didn't just do washing dishes, we as good Asians we are, it doesn't matter how old you are, if you can stand on a stool and reach the counter, you are going to learn
You're
how to
working.
cook.
Exactly right. Yeah. No, it's true. A restaurant owns you, especially a mom and pop restaurant. There's no, we were talking offline as well, and I was cooking for 25 years, and I knew as a child, I knew growing up that you can't have a healthy, balanced family life and a full-time restaurant career. So in my 30s, I made the decision, right? I wanted to be married, I want to have children, and I want to be an effective husband and father. So that was my path, and I get a little trouble for it sometimes, but television really luckily opened up for me, and it really worked out. But
But
people give us a hard time.
did you find that when you're working your way through the entertainment industry that here you are, Asian American, you speak perfect English, by the way.
Right,
So
right.
that helps because I
It
have
helps a lot.
grammar up and down, and
That's not
I had to
that's
learn.
not true.
But
Yeah.
I had to learn over the years. It's interesting that I was very self-conscious to doing television in the very beginning, and I
Mm.
did reality shows, and I would always ask the sound people. This is not American Next Top Model. Maybe you guys a little back secret. It's really funny.
Oh
I
yeah.
still can't get my pronouns right. I still drop my s's all the time or the eds because they don't
Yeah.
make any sense in Mandarin.
It all,
And
right? Yeah.
okay, so I would go to sound recording and just go duh 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 duh,
And
duh.
they would
And I go,
dub your
they
duh
would
in.
duh, and I would go.
Oh, good. I like that behind the
I would
scenes.
literally give all the s's in every possible words that have s's, and I go, you guys,
Amazing.
please edit this in because I'm so self-conscious about it. When I watch myself back, I'm like, whoa, can you guys please? So they had to do that. It was really funny. And then what happened was I ended up doing a show for China. It was like a modeling show as well called I Supermodel. And there was 5 panel judges, and we sat there. And that's when I realized everybody has an accent when you do television
Everybody.
in Asia. Because
Yeah.
Beijing and from the
Because it's
south,
a melting pot, right? Yeah. So how did you feel then? Then it
I
was all okay?
love, well, they made me speak Mandarin, which I speak Taiwanese style Mandarin, which
Hmm.
is a little cutesy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and
Yeah.
and it was for me, I felt like, oh, so self-conscious, but then they embraced it. It took me to go back to Asia doing the Asian show to find myself to come back to the US and go, you know what? Forget the S's, forget the D's. You live with what I tell you.
It's also your personality here. I think people on TV, like, that's something that makes you unique. I was embarrassed the opposite way, right? Because obviously I speak English, and without an accent as well. So I get a hard time from Thai people and Chinese people when I try to speak Cantonese or Thai. So I have the opposite problem. I'm not Asian enough. You know what I mean? When I talk to my people, but I've been very lucky. I'm embraced. My audience is very all broad walks of life
Absolutely.
American. I have a true love affair with this country, right? In every nook and cranny of it. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of friends that are law enforcement and military, and I spend a lot of time in Middle America. You know what I mean? So I'm, we all, I think everyone who is watching who's Asian, I mean, you must understand that we all code switch,
Yeah.
right? You have your Taiwan code, you have to switch. You have your American code. We have sometimes our country code. We have to be in Middle
Mm.
America code, and then we have our big inner city code because I was born in a really kind of a tougher spot. in LA. So no, I've gotten more. I've been made fun of more by Asian people than I have by American people. You know what I
Racism
mean?
is real within ourselves. It absolutely
Oh my
is.
God,
Right?
that's a whole show. Can
Oh,
we talk about intra-Asian racism? That's
well,
like a whole nother
it's a whole
good
thing because
topic.
when I first moved from Terre Haute, Indiana,
Mm.
which is all white as white can be, if you guys
Right,
don't know where it is, look
right.
it up on the map. And my family moved from Terre Haute, Indiana to even a smaller town called Robinson, Illinois. It's 20 miles out of
Wow.
Terre Haute, Indiana. 40,000 people. My dad opened a Chinese restaurant there. And we were popular because we were serving broccoli and beef. Because God knows, Middle
They
American people
liked you guys, right? They
love
liked
broccoli and
you.
beef.
Yeah, you were a novelty. You were
But
awesome.
when that broccoli and beef was done, we were done. We were
Oh,
out of, you know,
really?
because you know
Yeah.
we were a trend for the moment, right? And how many times can you just keep serving
Did
broccoli
you
and
feel
beef?
embraced by the community, and did you keep any friends from back then, or was it very like,
Oh
"Hey, I like
wow.
you for your food, but we don't need to be friends"? What did you guys feel
Well,
at that time?
well, it's funny because you know Asians, you can't tell our age, right? So my
Ah,
dad's like,
exactly.
you just go be a waiter now because we're not gonna you. I put
Yeah,
on the apron, broken English,
of
and
course.
go there. And what I found was that more awkward I am, more things I drop, more I fall and
Mm.
stumble into things, more tip I got. So I
Oh,
think in most
wow,
of
how
the,
interesting.
I think most of the guests don't get to eat when I get big tips.
Oh
But I
man,
learned a lot about not be afraid of my language barrier. I grew up very oblivious to my own shortcomings. I just
that's a
didn't.
good thing then. No
It,
one reminded you of them then. It's what it sounds like. You know what
well,
I
they
mean?
did, and I just didn't. Well, for example, I'll give you a good example that in high school, everybody's like, "Go back to China, go back to China,"
Oh, so there
but
was racism that
but the funny
you've
thing is,
experienced.
I didn't bother me because I'm not from China. So for me, I just go, well, when they let me have my visa to go to China, I'll be the first to visit the Great Wall of China because I'm from Taiwan. I was waiting for my visa so
That
I
is
can go there because
awesome.
the border wasn't open for Taiwanese to
Right.
go to China. So I'm like, let me know when they let me. I'll go. Thanks.
That's awesome.
But it was kind of like, it didn't bother me. But one day somebody figured out that I'm from Taiwan.
Mm.
And in the middle of an algebra 2 class, I sit in the front like a good nerd I am. And he sits all the way in the back. And when the instructor turned over and doing this long division of some algebra, x2 plus y equals c plus whatever, and I heard him go, "Hey, go back to Taiwan," and it hit me.
Wow.
I
That's when it
got
got
up,
you.
and it's the first time I ever been violent to anyone. I got up,
Wow.
walked back to the back of the room. I took his table and I flipped him over with
Good
the
for
table.
you.
But I ran so fast back to my chair and sat down like nothing happened. By the time the instructor turned around, they were like storming the room. I just sit there like, so the answer for A plus B equals, and then because I
What
was
a great
so
story.
oblivious to what I just did, because I'm kind of that
Hmm.
way,
Yeah.
that they were scared of me from that point forward. They just thought I was crazy because I
Yeah.
wasn't
Don't
like
mess with that
telling them.
kid. Yeah.
I wasn't
Right.
telling on them. I was like, what happened? Oh, did you fall?
Yeah, that is awesome.
So that was my childhood growing up. But then I think that's what I had to deal with in terms of racism. But as you get older in the senior years, people start embracing you, and you find cliques that you can somehow
Yeah.
get
No
along
matter where
with,
you
and
are. Right.
you
No
know.
matter
And
where you are.
but I wasn't. I was very oblivious that I'm Asian. I tell this story before how I got into television is that in the early days I would go to central casting auditions, which
Oh,
is
did you really?
like
Yeah.
central castings when they
I've done
just.
it a few times. It'll make you crazy.
But
Yeah.
I would go when they asked for black people. I would go when they asked for white people. I never went when they asked for Asian people because I don't look Asian enough for Asian casting.
I
You
agree
know,
with that. You look
you
like
see,
an Asian movie star that looks like a Western guy because you have tall, slender, big bridge. You look
yes.
handsome. You know what I mean?
But it's crazy that everybody always challenge me like, you're not Chinese, you can't speak Mandarin. So when I go out with my mom, they always. I tell my mom, I said, you ordered the food. Please don't make me order it because then the food
That's
won't come in
funny.
time because we're going to have a whole argument. Am I adopted? Who you
Yeah,
slept with before
yeah.
me?
You look like the milkman son, right?
Right,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I was a little different. You know what? I think one common thread amongst people who in food culinarians is a lot of us are rebels and troublemakers. So I was a
Yeah, what's up
nightmare.
with
I was a
that?
nightmare.
What is up with that?
I dropped out of high school. And it crushed my parents. I was never a good kid. I was always the kid that was making trouble in the back of the room. But I think I married a woman who has a master's degree in early childhood education. Also with emphasis on special needs. Yeah,
You and the PhD
yeah,
program. She needs a
yeah.
PhD right now.
Exactly. And she diagnosed me, and her mom's also a child psychologist. So, you know what? I always had a problem learning, and I never understood why. And, with Asian parents, they're like, just do it,
Mm,
shut up and do it,
mm.
get straight A's. And I can't understand, I can't process. So I think I realized that I had an undiagnosed, learning disability, which just kind of set the tone for my entire life. I dropped out of high school. I made a lot of trouble. I got my GED. And then I finally found my calling when, I ran away from food because I grew up in food.
Mm.
And
We all do,
we
right? My
all
dad
do.
was a photographer, and I'm like, that's the last thing I
There's
ever
no
want
way
to
you
do.
want to do,
No.
right?
And
And
look
look
where
at
we
us.
are. Look where we are.
But it saved my life, though. It really did. We had a grocery store in Los Angeles called the Bangkok Market. It was the first Thai food market in the country, and we had very famous chefs because we were the only place you can buy these exotic back in the day. And after I went to culinary school, I begged them all for jobs. I knew, Wolfgang and Mary Sue and
Wow.
Susan and Joki. Everyone
But wait, wait,
shopped at our
wait.
store.
But you
Yeah.
went to culinary school, which is one of the most disciplinary kind of education, right? No, maybe?
You know what? Some of us kids, it's like the military. You know what I mean? If I say you try go march over there for 10 miles, it's not, I don't need to use my brain. I just,
Right.
so
Mm.
it was easy to be a soldier. You know what I mean? So for me, like it was easier than math or science or English. Hey, cut these things. And I'd be growing up in a kitchen. I had an advantage in culinary school, so it came really easy to me. So
Mm.
I finally found my calling when I went back into culinary, but not Asian culinary. I went into French culinary, and then I continued my education in Japanese culinary school. And you know what I mean? It
Wow.
all came full circle. But now I'm known for cooking Asian food. You know what I mean? It all comes back around.
But with a twist, there's always a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
twist into your work. I mean, look, guys, just
Ah,
for the plug. So
thank you.
I read through this entire book and the recipes, and there's something missing here.
What is it? Taiwanese food.
Look, there's no autograph.
Oh, here, I'm ready. I'm ready right now.
When
Yeah,
this whole thing is over, you
I
better
will.
sign this.
I will have it, and we'll send you our other book too. My wife and I wrote a book as well. So
I would love
yes,
it. And your
done
wife's a
deal.
baker, right? She's a
Yeah.
baker.
Well, school psychologist and special needs, and then went to culinary school a few years ago. So she always had a
Wow.
passion for baking. We met when she was still teaching and I was teaching cooking classes. Us Asians, we work 2 jobs, 2.5 jobs. So I'd cook at night in restaurants, and I'd work in the day at Sur La Table, and I was teaching cooking classes, professional cooking
And you
classes.
get
So
discount there when you work there, right?
that's why I did it. Meet
You know what? That's
girls
Asian.
and then discounts, right?
That's right.
And it worked. Both things worked perfectly. I met the woman of my dreams, and I got discounts.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was it. That was my path. Anyway, yeah. This is your show. I'm here.
No, it's all
Yeah.
about you. I love this. I'm learning so much from it. So tell me this. Why is that your bad boy chefs all have tattoos?
Oh man, I look down sometimes and I go, what happened to me? You know what I mean? Like over 20 something years, I think it's bad boy also means rebel, but
Mm,
what it really means is a kid who I think needs some attention. You know what I mean? Let's be real for a second. I'm
yeah.
not going to give you the glossy answer. What I don't talk about a lot is my dad was a really rough guy, right? He was a very stern, one way or no way. And, it made an impact, and he was never
Asian dad.
home. Asian. And when he was home, he was like, he was a tyrant. So when you see these, I think my take is, a lot of us got, chefs just need to feel seen, maybe because we didn't feel seen when we were kids.
And
If
it's,
that makes any
I
sense.
do. I went through the binge watch like Chef's Table, and these are the obsessions of shows, and I
Yeah.
find that there's a commonality how food saved chefs, and
Yes.
across the board. I
Completely.
was watching Ivan Ramen. It was like
Yeah.
it brought tears to my eyes that he lost his wife, and he
Oh,
found himself through food. It was, and I have chills talking about it because it was, I mean, it drew tears to my eye when I watched it. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the common thread, right? That's like,
Well, yeah.
you go out there and you cause ruckus, and then you go to the kitchen and you cause more ruckus, but you put out amazing food. Tell me a little bit of cultural differences that have changed in the last 5 years of food restaurant culture. We know Bourdain put out a book, was very controversial.
It was true though. Tony was honest, right?
Right. It was the Confidential, right? Kitchen Confidential.
Yeah.
And then changed the landscape of the food.
Yeah,
industry.
I mean, if we want to get pretty like deep, right? I mean, a few things. A lot has changed over the last 25 years, right? I think the kitchen used to be like the military, right? And it was very strict. There was a little bit of corporal punishment at times. There's a lot of strong words that were thrown
authoritarian. It's a very authoritarian space.
Exactly.
The reason I brought this up, Jed, is because fashion industry is no different.
It has to be the same.
It's no different.
Anytime
being a photographer 10 years ago, you're not one if you don't have control of your set. And in order to control your set, exactly what you said.
You're either you're hammer or hammer. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, you know, before the, you know, which is, I think we're more enlightened now as people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we learned to get in touch with our feelings, and we could talk about how, you know, things make us feel. Some people a little too much, but you know what I mean? But, you know, back in the day, you got to find that balance. Another thing about kitchen people is we are all misfits, but the kitchen is our family. Because you found people like yourself. So if you and I are working together and I'm screaming at you during service and you're screaming at me, you know, I mean, once that last ticket goes out and that last dish goes out, we had a great night, you know, because we really got to get in touch with our feelings. We can yell and we can walk away.
So interesting because it's so similar to the fashion world, the fashion industry. You know, one thing that I've said this to other shows is that one thing I've learned over the years when I worked in advertising is that you can scream and yell all you want. Just choose who you're yelling and screaming at, because creative people do get their feelings hurt. Maybe not the chefs and the kitchen people,
but other creative people. Yeah,
we're very like. Did you just say you don't like it? Why? Why did I do? So I've always been taught to scream at the account executive, okay to scream at the producers, but don't scream at the talent that you're photographing, and don't scream at the people who actually are doing the creative part of it. So that was my philosophy. So I did do a lot of screaming in my early days, and you know, with the whole Me Too movement, with everything that shifted, we lost a lot of
the culinary is really was wrapped up in that as well. And look, the people who did bad things need to go away, because you know it's not okay, right? It's not okay in any industry, in any culture, to take advantage of people, right? There's a very clear line between, you know, high expectations versus just abuse. You know?
But we also see that the projection of that. I think we talked a little bit offline. 5 years ago, you can't wait to turn on your TV to watch Gordon Ramsay chew out everyone in Hell's Kitchen. I live for it. I love it. I was like, this is. It's okay for him to do that. See? Then people might say, like, stop screaming. I'm all, have you seen Gordon Ramsay?
And Gordon was real about it, because if you really watched Hell's Kitchen in the first few seasons, you know, he would yell at you and then he would say, come on, like once everything was over, he'd say, let's talk about what we can do better. And that is constructive. You can't yell at people anymore, but not saying I ever did much.
Right.
But you know,
know, the television perpetuated this behavior. And
true.
I absolutely fell into that trap when I started doing reality TV. Everybody was like, oh, get Yu Tsai because he's the Gordon Ramsay of fashion. He's a Simon Cowell
fashion. That's what I remember. You're the guy who used to, you know, and then I learned offline that you're such a nice guy.
Completely opposite
I
of the
was expecting you to be yelling at me. That's why I was like, I don't know if I want to do your show.
Well, I could. What color shirt is that you're wearing? It doesn't come with the chair you're sitting in.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to like judge me fashion-wise. I have no fashion sense at all.
And one of the things that I got to see is when Gordon started doing shows such as like that, finding ingredients out in the for National Geographic series that he did. I forgot the title of that show. But we started seeing a softer side of him, because the industry started saying, hey, we need you guys to be real and be approachable. And I think the last 5 years, start seeing you on Instagram cooking, and talking to audience, not because somebody's giving you a paycheck on
No,
the
not at
Food
all.
Network.
All that's free.
Right?
All my social
Right.
media, 100%.
And that's when I felt like, wow, this community can be welcoming. Because I always feel like, I say this all the time, even in fashion, I always feel like I'm an outsider looking in.
Wow. Yeah.
Always.
Even that. Yeah.
Even
Interesting.
in the fashion world.
That's a good perspective, though. Yeah.
Just because of my upbringing and the longing to belong, but there's always somewhere else you want to reach, another level you want to reach. So I'm always feel like I'm looking for the club, right?
That makes sense. 100%. Yeah.
And especially when I got into the food thing, I was really nervous, right? I was like, okay, I know how to produce a show. I executive produced shows before. I know how to direct. That's what I do for a living. Now I have to get in front of the camera. And the longest debate we had was whether or not I should actually cook on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw you and I see Yu Tsai.
Yeah.
And truly that it was listen, I can watch Gordon Ramsay, but he's white as white. It doesn't look like anything like that's nothing.
Yeah, we look like you. We look like each other. Yeah, exactly.
But I've been in TV for 10 years and I get to become the token Asian person for that network.
That's true.
When Red Carpet needed diversity that year for Black to be recognized, they're like, we better throw an Asian guy in there. And that year I got to host the Oscar Red Carpet.
That is amazing, though.
But when that moment's over,
I'm torn there. I'm torn there. You know what? There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with being the token, right?
Oh, no.
Because you're the bridge builder, right? We are the bridge builders. If you know what I mean, better to see at least someone which will make 2, which will make 4, which will make 6. We have responsibility. I take my responsibility on television and in social media and in public very, very seriously. When I travel around the country, around the world, when somebody says, you know what, Jet, your English is amazing. And you know what, I very straight face, I said, thank you very much. I was born in the United States of America. And they're like, wow, I didn't. And my job is to build bridges and is to expand and build relationships. So yeah, we have a very specific responsibility to represent, our culture narrowly, like you're Taiwanese, I'm Thai Chinese, and then broadly as Asian. So, and whenever you see an Asian person on, with a bad attitude, it sends a message.
Oh,
you know what I
trust
mean?
me.
Yeah.
I went through that. Like I definitely felt the responsibility because first of all, nobody realized I was Chinese, Taiwanese born Chinese when I did Top Model. It was just like this mixed race guy, whatever. So the hate didn't come. Right. But when I did a promo speaking Mandarin, all of a sudden the fans realized he's Chinese, and then they came from me. And then it's like he's a mean Chinese guy, and you go through this like weird dynamic. But then I had the opportunity to go to Asia to film Asia's Next Top Model and be a judge on that show. I definitely had to adjust. Like the audience are different. I started adjusting. And then that's right. Like you said, then I realized that it's not just responsibility in our own territory. No. It's a global conversation now, right?
It truly is.
And people ask, why would you go back to Asia to do Asia's Next Top Model when you have a successful show here in the United States already? That's what everybody wants to be. And for me was that, why don't we let people celebrate us from our soil and bring them to this place. And you and I both know it's really rare in this industry, any Asian talent who make it in the US ever go back to where they're from to celebrate it. And it's bizarre to me. So for me, I'm so happy you watched the show because the first opportunity I had to do a show in the food sector, in the food industry, I chose to go back to Taiwan. I chose to go back to where I have not been for 20 some years, just so I can bring that history exposure to where I'm from. And it's a good storytelling, avenue too. But it's important.
Yeah, you're also representing us Asian American kids because I think a lot of us, like you, we lose touch literally and emotionally with home. You know what I mean? So, it's inspiring. My dream is to do a show like yours, is to go back to Thailand and to actually, explore the country. Because I'm a tourist. When I go anywhere outside of the U.S., I'm really a tourist.
I'll produce it. I have a team in Asia waiting for you.
Let's go.
I have Fox Network waiting for content. I have Net Geo waiting for content in Asia. We'll talk.
I'm ready.
Offline.
I need to go home. I need to go back to China and I need to go back to Thailand.
And that truly is a story that people love. And obviously, we're in the middle of the pandemic world. The season 2, I was supposed to go to Vietnam to shoot because they asked me, now you're done Taiwan.
Wow.
Where would you want to go? I said, road less traveled, somewhere I've never been, because I literally have been everywhere, right? With
Hmm.
fashion, with work that I do. But I'm like, I want to go out where I've never been. I don't even know how to cook one thing of their cuisine at all. And I
Amazing.
want to learn because I did cook Taiwanese cuisine on the
Right.
show, and I put a twist to it, to my own creativity, and it was amazing, and it's fun. And then like I was like, oh, maybe I should just get all my auntie's recipes and mom's recipe and put together a book. But then I realized how intimidating that is, and I
Oh,
get
yeah.
really scared in that
It's hard.
process.
Hey, can I ask you? We're writing season 2 of our show right now, and
Mm,
is 3 cup chicken truly Taiwanese? I think that everyone wants
yes,
to know.
yes.
Give me what you know, because I'm writing the episodes
I
right now.
have an episode on In the Kitchen series that you can watch
Okay,
online, but
okay.
Three Cup Chicken is the flagship food. It is the
It's
quintessential
real
Taiwanese
Taiwan.
cuisine.
I
Yes.
better not mess up, so I need to call
No, it's
you
three. It's
before.
easy. It's three
But it's
cups:
1 cup
sesame
soy,
oil,
sesame oil,
soy sauce,
and
and wine.
wine. Oh, white wine. Is
White
it
wine.
really 1 cup of sesame oil? That sounds like so much. Okay, that's what I thought. I won't tell the Taiwan
So
government
it
that you.
depends on the type of
Yeah.
sesame oil you use, right? I
Okay.
love to use dark roasted
Yeah,
sesame oil,
for
which you
sure.
use
Big
less.
aromas. Yeah.
And as you know, people, I tell people it's the easiest dish to make.
Yeah.
However, you have to understand how sesame oil works. It
Yes.
burns
It's
really fast.
overwhelming. Yes.
You have to understand your temperature, how to keep that oil cool when you put that, because it becomes bitter.
Yeah,
But
100. It
then
burns fast and it's very heavy. So I thought
very
one
heavy.
cup. And okay, and you and your audience. I can't see comments. You turned off comments. So,
Yes,
um, in my opinion, you're not an Asian if you don't eat dark meat with skin on.
absolutely,
If you eat chicken,
absolutely.
yeah. So my producers are like, "Hey, let's do chicken breast." I'm like, "No, that's not Asian food. You can
Well,
substitute."
well,
All right. So
Chad, I gotta
anyway,
say, I would love to come with you on your journey when you do
let's do
that. I would
Thailand.
love
Let's do
that.
Thailand.
Taiwan would be
Yeah.
amazing, and Taiwan it is known for such amazing street food. Not the
It
most
is.
cleanest street food.
Well, that's Asia though. All of Asia. It's not except for Singapore, obviously. The
Oh,
cleanest
the
everywhere. Right.
cleanest in my
Yeah.
second home. Singapore literally my
Yeah.
second home. But in Taiwan, we do have this thing called stinky tofu.
Oh yeah, I know stinky tofu.
And I
Yeah.
know Andrew
Oh,
Zimmer did not like it at
can't
all.
eat
And
it.
he's invited to on this show, which I'm going to challenge him to try again.
You need to mail him some before he goes on the show and
I'm like,
then eat it with him live.
you eat
Yeah.
durian and you eat basically everything, and
Anything. He
you
eats
don't
bugs,
eat.
he eats eyeballs, but he won't eat sticky tofu. It doesn't
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
But he eats cheese. It's not that different. You know what I mean?
It's funny. My crew, when we were doing sticky tofu episode, they were just like, it's okay, we'll pass.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I gotta be honest with you. I can eat it. Not my favorite thing in the world. Not my favorite
Really?
thing. Oh yeah, a little
Wow.
too funky for me.
I think
Anyone
it's
else out
because,
there agree? Yeah.
but you know
Uh,
what? I grew up in Asia next to
yeah.
sewage.
Yeah.
Maybe
Open sewer.
open
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sewer.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Maybe
all did. Yeah.
that brings me back home. You didn't
Exactly.
experience that,
No,
but
no, I was a tourist, remember? I got to go back a lot, but never had to live it. So, yeah.
so what's next for you? Winning the Emmy,
Wow.
which I'm championing for you.
All
Winning the
right.
Emmy would be great.
Fingers crossed, guys. Next month. And so we're doing Ready Jet Cook again, season 2. We have a bunch of new shows on Food Network. Once the pandemic, slows down and we start shooting again, I'm writing a third cookbook, which is a Thai cookbook right now.
Wow.
I also have partnerships in restaurants. So Payway Group, we revamped the whole brand. So if you're in America, we have 160 restaurants. If you're in a Payway close to you, I'm rechanging up the menu. We're getting it really exciting. And I have a secret life too. I don't really talk about it. We're brothers now. So I
And
do a lot
nobody's
of
watching.
no one's
Not
watching. No, no,
442
not at
people.
all.
They're not here.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been in corporate dining for a long time. I was at Google. I was at Cisco, at Yahoo, and now I'm partnered with NBC Universal DreamWorks. So I wanted
Wow.
a job that was close to home. So I help out on the studio. We're gonna be revamping and creating some really fun concepts on the studio as well. So
How do you
yeah.
balance all that with being now a celebrity chef and
Oh
being
God.
available for television?
Yeah. You're right. The problem with being Asian You always want to have plan A, plan B, plan Z. So then you overbook and have too many jobs, right? You know, you're laughing because you know, and everyone listening understand. So you know what? My family comes first. So as I get busier, TV is ultimately important for me, right? Because it really keeps me connected with the most amount of people. And you know, you start to shed things you can't handle, and you know, so right now the balance is there. I can handle it all. I have a really great team. I have a phenomenal wife and partner who she's my literal business partner. So yeah, every dollar, 51 cents goes right to her. 49. It doesn't really, because then you splice it with the kids and then the dogs. I probably get 5 cents of every dollar, you know, but that's life. I'm happy that way.
Will you ever go back to the French cooking style?
You know, brutal, honestly, you know what? I am very good at Asian food, right? I took French cuisine to speak the global language of food. I took French food so I can write Asian dishes in French languages.
Wow.
So I could take food around the world that way. I could teach other chefs. I could write books in multiple cultures. So French is the international language of cooking. We cannot dispute that. So you know what I mean? It is the one unifying language of cuisine. So that's why I did French for so many years. But my heart is in Asian food.
I tried to make a consommé this week, and it was.
Did you make a protein raft, eggs and meat, the whole deal, the real deal?
Yes, but I wanted to make a duck consommé because I got the duck for cheap. Nobody's buying ducks, right? So of course it's very fatty. For those guys out there know about food, consommé is all about getting rid of the fat, and like I chilled it down, scraped it off, put it back in the fridge, recook it. I did it all. I watched every YouTube. I cannot get it cleared. And you know what happened? I told Chef Ming this last week. He goes, "What kind of egg did you use?" I'm all, chicken egg. Is all, you're making duck. How come you don't use duck egg to purify? I'm all, what? That's all I needed to do? Like, can I tell you, I gave out on consommé. It's the most delicious ramen broth now.
Yeah, right. It's not consommé, but it's delicious, right?
It's delicious. Yeah. And then I heard from, I won't tell you which top chef told me that all those consommé they make on that show is done with pressure cooker.
Oh, you're kidding me. Really?
I'm not telling you who told me, but
I'm going to text you when we hang up, and you're going to tell me.
Because I reached out to them. I reached out to them and said, listen, guys, I'm trying to do consommé. I just want to do one dish with stupid little pretentious dumpling floating in a beautiful broth with a damn one perfect leaf of cilantro floating.
Oh my gosh.
Just so I can post on my social media.
You're so fancy.
I want to be fashion food for a moment. It did not work for me. It did not work. I'm like,
you're fashion, I'm street. Yeah, exactly. That's how it's true.
But you know what? I just end up glorifying my instant ramen. That's what I did with.
There you go. Just cook some ramen noodles, put it in the noodles in the soup that you made, and be like every other Asian person out there.
Yes. And for those Asian people watching, this is something that I don't know Jet would tell you, that when you get instant noodles, a good Asian person never use the water they cook the ramen with. You gotta wash. When you boil it, when you're done, take that out and use clean
and
broth
make your own soups.
Water.
Yeah. Throw away the packet or put it and make it a stir fry.
That's what mom always like. Don't you drink MSG water? I'm like, that's not a unami. He goes, no, make your own broth.
I can see the hearts. I can't see the comments, but I think everyone agrees with us right there.
Absolutely. That's something that an Asian mom would tell you in the kitchen. But I'm so happy that you're able to make time with me here today, because I feel like you're like a brother. It's so inspiring. And we actually live very close to each other. So
we do.
Definitely
probably like
connect.
10 miles away.
Yeah, we definitely
After
have to
this
connect.
is over.
So before I let you go, what do
I'm good.
We know that the xenophobia during this time with the Asian restaurants, and I spoke to a few of them this week, and I'm inviting them on to talk, and a lot of them are not ready to talk.
Thank God that you are doing
it. It
that,
is hard for Asian people I'm talking about middle tier restaurants, right?
Yes, of course. Middle and lower middle,
mom and pops who their staffs are immigrants.
Yep.
And they can't get, those guys cannot get unemployment.
No, they have one job. They can't get benefits. Right.
This is not the Michelin star restaurant that everybody go home and they can apply for PPP.
You mean all the chefs that you have on your shows, not those guys.
I only
I
have one
got
so far.
you.
I
I
got one so
got
far.
you. Oh, yeah.
I'll ask Carl that when she comes on in 2 weeks. I'll ask her if
Exactly.
she has
Yeah.
TDK. She
Oh my
probably watching.
God. She probably
No,
had people. Yeah. No, but what are you
but
gonna say about these? No, these people are suffering. So go ahead.
suffering. So how do you think that what we can do as a community to help?
It's very
Like,
easy, guys. The first thing you can do right now is if you have the extra money, and I know not everyone does right now, but the benefit of that middle tier restaurant is it's so inexpensive to eat at. Pick one restaurant that's not a chain every week, and change it every week. Right? Tonight you have Cantonese. Tomorrow have Taiwan. The other night have Mexican. But if
mm,
we don't support local mom and pop restaurants, the entire face of restaurants are going to change. We're all going to be stuck eating corporate food and fast food. So we
oh,
have to preserve not just the restaurants, but
the
the
heritage
knowledge
is.
and the heritage that they represent.
And
Like,
that's the thing
you
I
know,
think I learned the most from my TV show is that we didn't go to the most expensive restaurants or most famous.
no,
We went to
thank
the one
God.
with most history, 3 generation, 5 generation, and those generations come here and do it again. And
Yeah,
and when you close a Chinese mom and pop restaurant, you're closing part of the history. It's
100%.
it's
The
crazy.
next
And
Ming Tsai, the next Jet Tila, the
uh,
next Roy Choi, the next David Chang. These are all kids that are immigrant kids that grow up to be something. You know what I
oh,
mean? We're supporting their families.
and look at Roy Choi too. Congratulations to him, by the way, for the James
Yeah,
Beard
James
Award. Oh my
Beard,
God.
100%.
So funny 6 degrees of separation. When I moved out of my studio in Larchmont and I was moving out, and here's this
Hmm.
guy moving in. I'm like, wait a minute. The
Wait,
celebrity chef Roy Choi is moving into my office.
are you serious?
Yeah,
You guys are no
literally
kidding.
crossover. And my staff is like, go talk to him. Oh my God, go talk to him. I'm like, dude, nobody ever treats me like that. How come you get.
Yeah. Funny story then. 2 degrees of separation. When I'm out on the streets, right?
Oh my
Two
God, don't
people.
tell me people
Oh
think you're
yeah.
him.
Yeah. And then when Roy was opening in Las Vegas, I think his partner or Natasha told me this. Well, they were opening in Vegas restaurant.
I
So
can hear
I
it.
used to be in Vegas, man. I used to be there. It was my city. I opened Wynn Hotel out there. So yes, he was walking down and they're like, "Oh my God, chef." He's like, "What's up?" He's like, "Jet Tila."
You know
Uh,
what? With that
uh,
celebration of Asian American any way you can. I
well,
think
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
not,
with that. When people call me
nothing
Roy
wrong with that.
Choi, I just go, "Yes, that's right. Nice to meet you." We all look
Well,
alike. So
you're in Silver Lake, right? You're in
yeah,
Silver Lake.
I'm dead
Well,
and dead in Silver Lake.
please support Pine and Crane, who is
Oh,
one of my
100%.
favorite Taiwanese restaurants, and they're one of the restaurants I've been speaking to, and they just figuring it out, guys
How are
out
they
there. Please,
doing? Are they
they're
okay?
now
Pie and
doing
Crane, by
takeout.
the way, is great.
Yeah, they also have
Phenomenal
Joy.
restaurant.
So
Yep.
there are a few Taiwanese on the west side, and
Uh-huh.
they do delicious, amazing meals. And when I do my photo shoot in Silver Lake area, we don't do catering. We just
Good
bring
for
the entire
you.
crew and book out the tables, and we eat there, and then we go. And it's not just because I'm Taiwanese, but the food is really amazing. And with
It
them,
was on point.
they went through a little
Yeah.
hard time. The last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, they were just quiet. And I keep going,
You can't
why are
survive,
they?
yeah.
Why are they not opening up just to takeout? And then I realized and learned from you guys is that
Why
50%
was their reason?
well, I don't have a specific
Yeah.
reason for them, but I learned
Okay.
this. A lot of restaurants at 50% capacity hurt them more because the
Can't survive.
margin is not there. And they have to build up their reputation that they're going to do takeout. They have to feel it out if their community can actually handle takeout.
Yeah.
And then they are investing, guys. When they do
Yeah.
takeouts, it's not, they're literally investing to figure out if this is going to work or not.
Yeah.
And
And then the
that's
last mile delivery companies take a giant percentage of the proceeds.
30% at this time.
Yeah,
So you
it's
guys
pretty
order
incredible.
it and pick
Pick it
up.
up.
Go pick
Pick it up.
it
And
up.
buy gift
Gift
cards.
certificates.
Yeah, buy gift cards. And so East Side, Pie and Crane, eat in Thai Town. You got to promote Thai
Oh,
Town. And then
yes.
one of the best taco joints in Boyle Heights is Carnitas El Momo. So check it out. I mean, really, I eat there. I took Bobby Flay there. We ate on the
Oh,
streets right there. So there's a lot of good food in LA. If you're listening from LA, go out. This is the time that
absolutely.
they need it. This is the time
And
they need it.
and truly that's the main purpose this year is that for us to celebrate and our community. At the same time, I have learned over the last 10 weeks of having this show is that you got to help your community first. I know there's a lot of global causes out there, but virus spreads 6 feet apart from people. Take that 6 feet and make it a kindness 6 feet instead of running away from each other. The kindness, and I'm learning too. I'm learning how to speak the language of food industry. Just because I have a show that's a journey of my life through Taiwan, it doesn't make me an expert when it comes to food. But boy, am I getting the most amazing education and talking to people I admire for so long. And thank you for being able for me to turn on the television and see the award-nominated, award-winning chef that looks like me. And I don't care what other people say. I think we look alike.
Yeah, to some we look like. No, look, thanks so much for having me. I'm really proud of what we represent. I do take it seriously. I'm an Asian American. I'm an American. I'm a citizen of this earth. And I always tell people, like, my goal every day is just to practice one random act of kindness, and that just might be smiling at somebody, but it's so much easier to be nice, right? It's so much. That's infectious. You know what I mean? So that's how we live.
Thank you for being so nice to be here with me today, because I wasn't sure, just to be honest. Like,
yeah.
Who is this guy?
Is he really that way on TV, or is he really that way in person?
And you're not the first to ask that. And everybody was like, "Can we have a call first?" In fact, Andrew Zimmer's team is like, I asked him, "Can you do this date?" And I wrote back, "Let's not lock in a date till we have a conversation and give you the green light." And I was like, "Oh, they're scared."
No, I didn't do that, by the way. Let's be clear. I was in no matter what. So
well, I can't wait. Maybe you'll come back when you get the Emmy win.
Anytime. Let's talk about Emmys next month. Continued success to you. What a phenomenal roster. If you're watching
Thank
this,
you so much.
Continue to watch. You have some of the best guests. Asian American Pacific Islander month. I think you've got some of the best rosters out there media right now. So
I got
keep doing you, man. Who's coming up now? Lisa Lee is
coming in tomorrow, which is mind blowing for me. Boy, I have to like amazing. I gotta figure out to say S's and D's when I need to say S's and D's.
Are you practicing today?
Maybe I just go learn Mandarin or Korean, whatever, like some of the language, so I can just like pretend I don't speak English. No, I had a conversation with her and lovely, and I can't wait to really dive into her story, because I've been watching her since she was 16 years old on Channel 1. She was with Anthony Cooper on Channel 1.
Oh, so you watching her from back in the day. What affiliate is that? What city are we talking about?
It was a public channel television where they were going to schools, and every school had their own broadcast. They were bringing, I mean, it was before internet. So I have a joke. I always say that I grew up watching Anthony Cooper and Lisa Ling, and I want to be both of them. So I turned out to be gay, and I'm still Asian, and I'm here. So I guess I got my wish.
You are our Anderson Cooper. You are our Anderson Cooper. We need you.
I would love that. Well, thank you so much, Jet. And please reach out to your friends who wish to have a voice on the show. I would love to talk to more of them, because I do need the introduction for everybody. Chef Mean,
not after
so much
this
again.
week. Not after this week. You got them all. After this roster, you're the man now, man. Keep it going. Let's talk soon.
Stay strong out there.
And thank you to your audience as well. Thanks, everybody.
And before you go, please tell your wife I can't wait to taste the amazing bakeries. I don't know how to bake nothing.
We will drop them off at your house for you. That's what we're going to do.
Thank you for joining us. That's the most amazing, inspiring talk I had for a long time, and I really appreciate you. And thank you. And stay strong out there, everyone. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, and I got to go prepare for Lisa Ling. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for being with me for this edition of Let's Talk, celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Everybody stay safe and stay strong out there. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Bye-bye.